I just got finished rebuilding this Magneto. I didn't record the process because it's been one of those things where I did part of it one day and another part a week later. Just had the parts sitting around and worked on it every now and then in spare time. So it wasn't one process. Um, I replaced the bearings, of course. The bearings are inserted in with paper um, insulators, and you have to press the bearing race into the case. So it really helps to have a press if you want to try one of these things, because it's next to impossible to pound them in with a hammer or any other way. So you really need a press to press the new bearing races into either end. And the paper insulators are sort of a pain. They tear really easy if you're not careful. I take them and I smear them with grease to make them a little more limber, and then I drop the race in and then I press it in with the press. The points on these things never wear out. All I did was burnish the points on this just a little bit because they were clean. And I put in all new brushes on the pickups and on the center brush, and new bearings, as I said, and it's just fine. We should get sparkles when we spin it with my drill. So let's get this, okay, and give her a spin and see if we get sparkles at the sparkle end. And I'll zoom in just a little bit so you can see that a little clearer. All right, that'll do the job. I don't even have a use for the thing right now. I'll just stick it on the shelf. All right, just a little follow-up. These areas I marked with a magic marker just to show that this is the area where the points open and cause the Magneto to actually do the spark. Okay, and I'm going to zoom in here and I'm going to show you this little area. Look at a pointer. This little guy right there, it's called a bright spark capacitor, and it replaces the capacitor that's built into the armature on this Magneto. And when you take the armature out of the Magneto, you need to cut the wire going to the internal capacitor. The internal capacitors, first of all, this thing's probably, I don't know, 40, 50 years old. And capacitors can deteriorate. There's not much to them, usually just a foil wrapped around. There's not a lot in there if they're a dry capacitor. Anyway, they can open, which would cause the points to burn up, or they can short out, which would turn off the spark totally. So somebody came up with these solid state, shall we say, capacitors on this tiny little circuit board, and you put it here and you cut the old capacitor wires, and that's a technological improvement. Okay, so just wanted to show you that. Not a lot in here, and they have all the dependability of points and all the foibles of points. High speed, they'll float just like any other point. Slow speed, sometimes they bounce just like any other point. Get a little dirty, just like any other point. Get a little burn, just like any other point. Need gapping every now and then, just like any other point. But other than that, they're solid as a rock. I mean, seriously, Magnetos are just magic. They will run and 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 run forever, because it's sort of like they're made out of rocks and stones. They are so well built. And anyway, this is just basically I don't know what the original use of this was. I mean, I doubt seriously if Lucas designed and built this thing for motorcycles. It's probably from some other application and adapted, such as if you've ever heard of the Joe Hunt Magnetos that we used to put on Triumphs. Those are Massey Ferguson. They're tractor magnetos that somebody adapted to the side cover on Triumphs. So this thing could very well have been a tractor magneto in its first incarnation and was adapted to use on motorcycles. Things happen like that all the time. Now this one is a fixed advanced. It has no advance built into it. The advance would be built into here for a manual advance and would cause this ring with the two dark spots. I'll put this down. Okay. The manual advance would actually rotate this ring back and forth to advance the ignition. This does not have a manual advance built into it. And this ring is actually stationary. Later or earlier, I don't know which, they put a mechanical advance unit on the drive end, on the drive gear. And that way the advance was automatic, just like the later point setup in the Triumphs and BSAs and Nortons. And it was pretty good because it was in an oil-filled case and it never wore out. Where the advanced units in Triumphs and BSAs and Nortons were not oil-filled, and they did wear out. They'd get notchy. Once they got notchy, they stuck open, and the bike wouldn't idle down. You'd pull up to a stoplight, and your bike would be revving up around 2,500, 3,000 RPM because the advance unit was jammed open. So this was better. This advance unit was just solid as a rock. So just thought I'd toss that in there.